In my opinion, the biggest lever you can pull inside of an organization to take it to the next level is your culture. And so in this video, we're going to break down why having a very strong, very high performing culture is so important. What does that actually look like in practice? And then how to go about implementing some of the stuff you'll learn in this video so you can take your team to the next level. Now, number one, why is a culture important? Well, what a culture does is it sets the momentum, it sets the standard, and it sets the pace at which you grow your business. Each one of these things is extremely important if you want to scale aggressively, and I don't see people talking about this enough. In order to build momentum fast, you need everybody moving towards the same goal as aggressively as possible. And the only way that you do this is by having a very high standard and by moving at a very aggressive pace. It is the number one thing. I heard this quote from Grant Cardone that changed my life, and it's that massive action creates problems. If you don't have a culture that's ready for an ass load of problems to come your way, you're going to have a very hard time building momentum. It means your standards aren't in place, and it means you can't push the pace. Great example of this in practice. We brought a sales manager into our organization, and it has been awesome watching him work. Awesome. Because what he does every time is, what can we do to fill the calendars? It's a sales problem before it's a marketing problem. If we fix the sales problem, then we can say it's a marketing problem. But the standard at which this guy operates is so different from everybody else I've worked with, like significantly different. And what's happening is the entire culture is affecting everything. One of the things I've done recently is I've started crashing out a ton in content like this, aggressively crashing out. And what that has done is it's caused the people around me to raise their standard. It's caused my business to grow substantially in the last 30 days. We've moved at rates we have never moved before. I clocked 155 hours of pure work last week. Now, is that aggressive? Yeah. But what kind of culture does that fucking set? You know what I mean? It's like a lot of you guys have zero fucking standards. Zero for your organization. You make 100 grand a month and you like, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but you make 100 grand a month from organic content and you do fuck all. You do absolutely fuck all. You are not a high performing organization. If you were to walk into a pit of sharks, you would get eaten alive because you have zero standards for yourself. You do not have a high performing culture and you will get outcompeted by anybody that does. It is the number one problem I see. I've started firing clients for this. I started refusing to take deals unless we can bring in sales management that performs like this. You can get absolutely fucked if you do not have a culture that's high performing. Because what does this actually look like in practice? This looks like every day the owner is asking things like, what can we do to book more calls? What can we do to maximize the leads we have in our CRM? What can we do to get more leads today? Not, what the fuck, why aren't the leads booking? You know, the paid ads suck. What do you need to see from me so that the paid ads get better? What do you need to see from me on the webinar so that we book more calls? Notice the difference in framing. Significant difference. And it all comes from a high-performing culture. Now, can you be this aggressive with everybody you work with? No, obviously not. That's not how this works. With sales teams, to a certain extent, I don't even crash out like this with my own team members because I don't think it makes sense with the way that my team operates for me to be yelling and crashing out like this. They also perform great, so there's no reason to, you know what I mean? Zero reason to crash out like this. But what you do need to do is make sure that that is constantly being set and that it's a culture of high performing. It's a culture based on results. It's a culture based on performance, not based on, no, I'm going to show up today. I love my friends from high school and college. I love them to death. But a lot of you fucking guys give zero fucks about what you want. You give zero fucks. I get questions all the time. I'm intrigued about this. Oh, tell me about that. What does that look like? Some of you show up for like a week and you fucking fall off a cliff. You fall off a cliff. Why? Because you're not being pushed. Somebody got to drive the pace. And in that case, as the business owner, it's fucking you. As the operator, it's you. You're the one that sets the tone. I'm telling you, as soon as you start setting the tone, everything around you changes. Everything. Everything. It's like a hit. Your entire business will fucking explode. The people around you will change because of how you're behaving. Very simple, very powerful concept. But this is why having a very strong culture is super important. It pushes and it drives everything forward. Everything moves forward significantly faster at a significantly more aggressive rate. And so it looks like constantly pushing people to their limits, constantly pushing the pace of the business. Can you do more? Is there a better way to approach this problem? Can we solve this faster? How can we drive better results? From constantly just pushing the pace. Now, there's a balance to this because again, a high performing culture, they're on top of it. Meetings are structured. That's another thing I'll mention real quick. Your meetings, make them have a fucking purpose. Why are you meeting? Like, okay, we've got these problems today, let's solve them. You would have gotten more done if you both tried to solve them and then came back and put your fucking heads together. If you had a structure to your sales stand-ups. If you had a weekly check-in with your marketer. Even then, as a marketer, I really don't need to talk to anybody. I should just be able to pop into fucking sales meetings and see what's going on. Like, hey, I noticed a dip in quality. Like, can you guys just explain a little bit? I want to hear your feedback before I go look at transcripts. It's like everything has to serve a purpose. Another great thing to think about is how are you utilizing your time or your employees' time or your team members' time as effectively as possible? What I've noticed, if I have a call during the day, I'm a dummy until the call's over. Absolute dummy. So what I do is if I have calls, I try to stack them first thing in the morning so that the rest of my afternoon's wide open. Also forces me up earlier. Or I just do an entire fucking day of them. Last Monday, I think I did 12 hours of calls. And then guess what? I had fuck all. Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way through until today. Like, yeah, I did one here and there, but like, I had a lot of deep work time. You want to think about how to best utilize the time inside of the org. Your time, employees' time, team members' time. How can it best be utilized? What are the incentive structures that are going to be put in place? That's the other thing I don't see people talk about enough is incentives. You may watch this video, but I'm going to fucking crash out. I put a video out on Monday about some content competition. I went ham last week, fucking hard in the paint to score points. For at the time of this recording is in first place. Here's what's interesting. The incentives in place was that I just needed to sling consulting deals and I would get points, and that's great. After I started racking up points and creating a gap, the rules of the game changed. And it's less about the points because I could give a fuck at the end of the day. It's more about the principle. You are now incentivizing me to sign clients when I don't need to sign done for you clients. If I sign one, great, but I don't need to hammer it. I can hammer consulting calls, makes me good money, and I can still get results from what I'm currently doing. I physically have started turning down clients at an aggressive rate. If I wanted to win, I could have signed 4 last week, and now the incentive in the game changed. Now it's like, fuck, should I have signed them just to get these points? No, in the grand scheme of things, obviously not. But like, think about what that does. Think about what's incentivizing your team. Great thing I'm testing out right now that I'm curious to see how it plays out over time is late on deadlines, you owe me money. If I'm late on deadlines, I owe you money. I actually got to Venmo them some money because I was late on a deadline today. It's actually a great point. Think about that. Think about the negative incentives. Think about the positive incentive. You always want to focus on positive reinforcement, but think about the incentives inside of your organization. Does it even make fucking sense? All right, is the way you're paying somebody, does it make any sense? I don't know, but just think about that. And so how do we actually go about implementing this? Number one is it all starts with you. You dictate everything. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me. If you don't set the culture, if you don't set the tone, you're not the leader. You shouldn't be the leader. Somebody else should be the leader. Favorite example of this is I used to fall victim to this all the time back in college and even a little after, where you go to a place with a bunch of buddies and you're like, oh, this place is beat, this place sucks. Yeah, it's because you bring a shitty culture. You bring a shitty culture. The fuck are we doing? Like, of course the bar sucks. You suck. I guarantee if you walked into that place and you were the life of the party, that bar would be the best bar you ever been to. I'd say 80% of the places we went where that was a term had nothing to do with the bar, had everything to do with us. Another great example. If you're ever on like a tram in an airport or a bus on an airport, you know, it's all awkward and weird. Elevators too. Think about how different that interaction becomes when you crack the stupidest fucking joke you've ever heard. Think about how different that interaction is. Significantly. Everybody starts laughing. The whole ice breaks. All the tension just drops. Because you set the tone. You determine the culture. You determine the outcomes. If you're on a shitty date, it's your fault. You can make the date fun. Even if the other person ain't your person. You can still have fun. Anytime somebody's like, I had to get out of there, it was so bad. It's because, one, you couldn't figure out a way to make it good. That's your own fucking fault. And if you do, it changes everything. Recently been working with somebody that you can tell is relatively insecure. Very, very successful, relatively insecure. And working with them is interesting because I haven't done that back and forth with somebody that's like overanalyzing in a while. Or a lot of the business owners I work with are just straight savages. Here's the funny thing. Makes more than a lot of those guys, but is like a little nervous when you communicate with them. And so you play this game of like pulling them out. And today I feel like I made leaps and bounds. But guess what? I took ownership. Your business is a byproduct of you. You are captain your business because of yourself. Nothing else. Also, if it is the case, does that fucking serve you at all? No, it doesn't serve you in the slightest. There's woe's me mentality. Oh my God. Get fucked. Get fucked. And the reason I'm partially overly aggressive on these is because it drives an undertone of like, when you're working with people inside of your org, they know what it's like when you crash the fuck out, but they also see how you can manage that and drive a certain culture. Another thing I do that I think is super important, and this is just good courtesy, is a lot of people will treat their team as like worker bees. One, get fucked. Your employees are not worker bees. Your team members are not worker bees. I don't even like saying employees because it sounds like they're little worker bees, you know? Like, I don't even like saying that shit. My team. A lot of people treat their team like worker bees. They barely communicate. Did you get the task done? Yes? Cool. Awesome. What the fuck are we doing? Treat them like humans. These are your team members. These are people helping push your business forward. They're a part of the vision. And so what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're treating them in that way. Like, hey guys, this week's gonna be actually not that bad. A little more work than normal, but not that bad. And this is my favorite thing to do. Just be prepared that we may hit a week where it is fucked. And like, I want you guys to enjoy it, like right now, while it's very casual. Like, get your work done when you need to, we're good. This week, for example, hopped on the call this morning at the time of this recording. Hey guys, this week might be absolutely fucked. Like, I may need you on the weekend. Like, it might be fucked. Guess what? They're ready to fucking go. And they're excited too. I don't know about excited, but they're ready to fucking go. And they're not looking at me like, oh, this asshole throwing more work on us. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, right? You constantly need to be pushing the pace. You constantly need to be treating your people, one, as if they're people, so you can get the most out of them. But two, like, hey guys, it's going to be pretty chill right now. I got nothing. And then when it's time to turn the gas on, they're ready because everybody's working towards a similar goal and everybody has the same outcome. And this brings me to a conversation I started last week. Realized I wasn't the best at this from a managerial perspective is one-on-ones. And I'm not necessarily at the point in the organization where I can stop one-on-ones. But what I realized, I didn't do one-on-ones at all. So I had a one-on-one on Monday with my team, with each one of them. And we walked through, hey, this is the big vision. This is where I want to go. I want to make sure that you fit into that. Because if somebody came to me and was like, hey, we can get you everything you want if you just work for us, I might work for them. You know, if the vision's big enough, someone's like, hey, you can make X amount working for this company. Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, let's do it. You know, will that ever happen? No, because I like the business side. But again, you want to be able to fit people into that. Like, hey, what do I need to do to make sure that you want to be here for 20 years? What does your growth path need to look like? The other thing too is you flip it and you say, look, if you wake up one day and you want to go pursue this completely different path, or you got a job offer that I can't compete on, take the motherfucker. Take it, please, because I want you to be the best version of yourself. Think about the tone that sets inside of your organization. Massive change. The other thing I love to do, and again, some more experienced managers may have a different thing, but this is just what I do from a culture perspective, is I like to do EODs for the team. And the EOD is basically like, what'd you do today? What went well? What didn't go well? What's your plan to improve tomorrow? And it forces a certain level of reflection. Number one, super powerful. And what you got to do is you got to stop your team from giving you feedback that's like, I did this today, I did that today, like a good productive day, because that's all bullshit. I don't want your bullshit teacher answer. I want you to actually use this as a tool. And so what I started doing is pushing them to give me more concrete, like thought out answers, like how are you emotionally, how are you this? And what ends up happening is, one, you got a good pulse as to where they're at emotionally and in their personal lives. You don't have to press for this, or you didn't share with me the fact that you broke up with your boyfriend last week. I don't want to hear that shit. If you want to share it, sure. But you're not trying to invade people's privacy. What you're doing is you're asking if you're comfortable sharing. I'd love to know how you're doing personally, because it helps us all know where we're at and we can move from there. And so these EODs are designed not only for the work side of things, but also if you want to tie in your personal life. Last week, I started doing them as well. I was like, yeah, sure, you can hear into my personal life now. Am I guarding certain stuff? Of course, everybody does. There's also some things as a leader you don't want to expose to the organization, and that's totally fine. But what I am pretty open, generally speaking. Like last week, I was literally like, yeah, I was kind of depressed on Thursday. I'm human, dog. Of course I'm going to say that. There are things that you want to share. You want a level of transparency inside of the organization so that everybody knows where they're at. Again, we're building a family. We're building a team. We're building a group of people that want to work together and grow. If you don't fit into that, you're not going to get the job. I don't care how good you are at this stuff. If somebody feels like you don't have anybody to talk to, be the person they can talk to. The hard part as a business owner is knowing where to draw that line. But again, just think about what that does for the organization. If I know what somebody wants, I can anchor on what they want. Hey, you said you wanted this thing. Either you don't want it or you do want it, but this is what's required to get there. And if they're like, yeah, I actually don't want that anymore. Cool. Now I know. Now there's not a disconnect. Right? Another great thing for culture in general is feedback loops. Again, I don't claim to be the best manager in the world, but this is just what I've seen is feedback loops. If I can have aggressive feedback loops and constantly be checking in, that's why I started doing the one-on-ones again, change the entire business overnight, change the entire fucking business. And so it's another great way to push culture. But the big thing I want to emphasize on today's video is like, if there was one lever that I could pull inside of an organization to take them from where they've been at to significant levels of growth, it is the culture. This is the number one lever that you can pull. And you do this in one way. Imagine this is your team. Most leaders will try to lead from the back and say, go team, go. Yeah, get fucked. Guess what your job is as a leader? Your job as a leader is to show them, hey, I'm moving forward. Are you coming with me? And if they're not, cool, cut them off. Your job as the leader is to lead. Your job is to push the pace. Your job is to drive the culture. If you can drive a high-performing culture, you will outcompete anybody, I promise you. Nobody can compete with a business that has a high-performing culture. Nobody, not even close. You will never beat that. And so this video is a little all over the place. I hope that helps in some way when it comes to what it really takes to get to the next level. And if you want to see what that's like, there's going to be a link below. You can book a call, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.